Here at Hacksmith Industries, we're known for taking the craziest fictional ideas and making real working prototypes. But we have a problem. Movies and video games are just too damn good. Do you know how hard it is to recreate something from fiction when the basic laws of physics don't even apply?
That thing does not obey the laws of physics at all.
When the energy power required for those gadgets is just plain non-existent and literally impossible without superconductors or a paradigm shift in energy storage?
21 gigawatts!
Yeah, we've gotten pretty close on a lot of projects, but they almost always don't live up to the expectations we all have from seeing them on the big screen. And while you guys, our core audience, knows this and supports us trying anyway, the internet at large is a lot more pedantic and pessimistic than you guys. For example, our power loader doesn't have legs because it would tip over and be next to useless. But it still does everything else. Our tungsten lightsaber doesn't retract, but you can duel with it. Our plasma lightsaber doesn't clash, but it does retract. Our hoverboard hovers, but it needs an aluminum floor. The John Wick suit? Well, I don't trust it enough to wear it because that would be insanely stupid. But it does stop bullets. My self-healing Wolverine claws? Not very durable, but does self-heal, which is ironic since they should be indestructible. Captain America's shield only attracts from a few inches, but it does work and looks super cool if someone throws it at you. All of that is a problem because the bar has been set so damn high, and since making it real is kind of the whole point around here, and making videos that perform well, like millions of views, with weekly video releases, is the only way this business can earn enough money just to exist. So how do we make more videos? It's simple. Time for a clip show. Here's the top 10 projects that we can too soon. Plus, we're letting you decide what projects we bring back and finish simply by leaving a comment below with a special keyword for that project. Number 1, a real-life pod racer. There it is. This jet engine. This was one of our very first big purchases we made on the channel when we started growing. Turns out, you can just buy a jet engine online. We had a lot of fun with this. We melted a face off with one, we blew Captain America away, hit 100 miles per hour in neutral on a motorcycle, skimmed across a lake on a jet-powered canoe, Bogdan tried flying with them, and this past winter, we even built a jet-powered GT snow racer that we're hoping to be a land speed record with. From the moment I held one of these in my hands, I thought of Sebulba.
Sebulba!
His silly little goggles, and his love for pod racing. What's stopping us from using ground effect and pulling a vehicle to insane speeds using jet engines? Projects like these almost always start with casual what-if conversation among friends. Your son likes racing, right?
Yeah, of course, why?
And you've built him a few motorized vehicles in the past.
Probably too many, but yeah.
Well, it's been my childhood dream to make a certain kind of vehicle.
Okay.
And we happen to have a few spare jet engines and an old Seafly out back.
Okay.
So do you think you can make Carter a pod racer?
Do or do not. There is no try.
I would definitely like to give that a shot.
I mean, hey, that's how Mega Hex, the John Wick bulletproof suit, and even our giant Thor hammer project started. The idea just kind of snowballs and eventually becomes a video for you guys to see. One of the ideas with these was doing it on water because obviously the most dangerous part of this project is the speed. If we used a hydrofoil, we could drag a speedboat across the water using jet engines floating in front of it just like a pod racer. But after our experience with our hydrofoil broomstick, the thought of killing these jet engines by having them hit water kind of made the project seem a little expensive. And if we didn't want the project to be expensive, doing it on solid ground, well, that would just be really dangerous. But hey, comment, "It's working, it's working," to see us visit this idea again.
It's working! It's working!
Number 2, Torbjorn's Molton Core. Bogdan seems to have a knack for coming up with the most ridiculous projects that endanger the entire company and business.
We're going to full throttle.
Cancel, we're canceling it.
If anyone plays Overwatch still, Torbjorn's turret shoots literal magma at his enemies. A perfectly reasonable thing to shoot. Totally OSHA compliant. Definitely not a safety hazard. But possible with molten lava? Well, we got inspired by a video on YouTube. Turns out, if you smack molten hot metal with a shovel, you get quite the fireworks show. And for some reason, I let Bogdan experiment with this idea, at risk of burning down the entire place. He started by trying to melt down steel in some crucibles we had. But as it turns out, melting steel takes an insane amount of energy. Even using our proto lightsaber, which can melt steel, the oxygen in the flame resulted in the steel burning up and turning into slag before we could collect any of it in molten form. We considered purchasing an industrial crucible or a high-powered induction heater, but the cost for one of those large enough for our needs was around $5,000 to $8,000, which was a bit steep for such a dangerous project.
How can you make money with such a stupid idea?
And how can you not make money with such a brilliant idea?
In the meantime, Bogdan tried experimenting with other metals like aluminum. Sadly, aluminum doesn't get as hot or even glow red when molten, but he tried making a mechanism to shoot it anyway, a mechanical slapping system, similar to the shovel example we saw. It didn't work very well and was difficult to aim or have enough force. The next thing he tried was making a pneumatic piston or air cannon machined from literal graphite so it won't melt, which made a huge mess in the shop. As soon as the molten metal hit his system, it would start to solidify, causing the mechanism to jam. He spent another few weeks trying to figure out how to heat the entire system to stop the metal from solidifying, but having it more than one-time use proved nearly impossible. I finally said enough was enough, and we had to can the project. But hey, if we use actual volcanic lava, comment lava to see us return to this project. At the very least, maybe I can get an insurance payout when Herc burns to the ground. Number 3, Hawkeyes Collapsible Bow. Sometimes you just need to build things for yourself. It was at the last facility that I realized I messed up. I had created a dream job for engineers, but not myself. In the garage, it was my workshop, and I knew where everything was, and I could work on things whenever I wanted. When we started to become more like a business, we got way more resources, way more machines, more equipment, but suddenly I couldn't just work on the things when I felt like it. Other stuff was going on, the equipment was in use, the business was doing things. So I decided to start working on a personal project early in the mornings before anyone got to work. It was an ambitious one, but I think I had a way to make it work. Hawkeyes Retractable Bow. I started with a standard recurve bow because it's a waste of time reinventing the wheel. If you want to innovate something, starting with something similar is going to get you to an invention so much faster. A standard recurve bow is technically a takedown bow. You can make it pretty small, but it takes a long time to actually set it up before you can shoot any arrows. There we go. The first step was figuring out different ways to make this collapsible, so you don't need to use tools. And the thing with problem solving is, if you have a complicated problem, you just have to break it down into smaller chunks and then solve it bit by bit. So step 1 was to get rid of those bolts. So I machined some custom hinges and added a latch, so now you can just fold the entire limb into place. And I did that for both sides. Not bad. Step 2 was figuring out how to fold the actual limbs. So again, I machined some custom hinges with springs that allow you to fold the actual limb, and there's a magnet to hold it in place. So now we have a pretty small collapsible bow, and you can just go like that to a recurve bow. But I'd still have to string it. So how do we do all that with a string on there? That's when I had an idea. I figured out if I added a lever arm to the end of the limb, I could snap the top portion of the bow straight and then use my grip strength to actually string the bow. Now, if you've ever strung a bow, you know it's actually pretty hard to do because there's so much tension on that string. But luckily, thanks to years of gymnastics, rock climbing, and making things with my hands, I got pretty good grip strength. Not bad, but does it work? There's a lot of other stuff that I want to do to really pretty this up, but why was there never a video on it? Well, I was doing this project for me, not for YouTube. And one of my biggest gripes with YouTube is the video is more important than the project. That means we spend more time on the videos than we do on the projects. But for this project, I really wanted to make it the best it could be. And that meant not having a deadline for a video. And when we moved facilities, this kind of just got put on the shelf and forgotten about. I'd love to pick it up again, but I'd almost have to start from scratch because I've got new ideas of how to do this even better. But if you guys want to see me bring this back, comment Hawkeye below. And I don't know, maybe this could even be a product for Hacksmith.store. Oh yeah, I also made a whole bunch of his trick arrows.
Do you have a favorite?
This guy's pretty cool because it folds. Number 4, the Men in Black Series 4 De-Atomizer.
Series 4 De-Atomizer.
That's what I'm talking about.
Noisy cricket.
Plasma-based firearms from sci-fi are the coolest. Bullets are boring. Blasting bright, shiny bursts of energy at bad guys? Way cooler. I actually made Han Solo's DL-44 blaster years ago as a one-day build using the guts of a flare gun. It looked awesome, it looked like the real deal, it shot like the real deal, and it would even burn you like a blaster shot. But lots of people complain that, well actually, his blaster is a German Mauser C96 pistol and you should just use tracer rounds that glow when you shoot. To which I said, I don't care, that's just a handgun that shoots bullets. And besides, in the movies, blaster shots move so slow, you can see them, you can't see a bullet. And half the time, they don't even seem lethal, and they just leave scorch marks.
Just a flesh wound.
Which makes it most similar to a flare gun, rather than a gun. All that to say, what if we made it a little bigger? What if we made the Men in Black Series 4 De-Atomizer? All chrome, multiple shot, semi-automatic, plasma rifle. The only issue is, that shoots white plasma, not red. But guess what? From Germany, I discovered you can buy white flares. It's pretty cool. Oh yeah. Now, this would have been a super cool, non-lethal weapon. But the problem is, it would essentially be building a automatic shotgun since it uses 12 gauge flare shells. And maybe that's a bit too much for YouTube's rather conservative gun rules.
We'll take it from here.
Dang. How cool would it have been to whip that out for self-defense?
I'm gonna count to 3.
He'll do it, Jeeves.
1.
I'm telling you, that man does not look stable. 3.
Comment, did you ever flashy thing me to tell me to risk it anyway and build it?
Hey, K, have you ever flashy thing me?
No.
I ain't playing with you, K. Have you ever flashy thing me?
No.
Managing large projects like this can be a daunting task, and looking back, we realize how many unfinished projects could have been completed if we had Odoo available to us at the time. I've got it! Odoo is a powerful project management tool we now rely on. It's the ultimate software suite that offers everything you need to manage a business of any size. In no time at all, we've set up and organized this entire video as a project in Odoo. To get started, click my link below and create a free account. Choose the Projects app and you can easily import tasks from a CSV file or quickly build and organize any project. The Projects app even integrates with other Odoo apps, allowing you to transfer data between them or even plan a task using AI. It really is that simple. Odoo can help you track inventory, build a website, manage payments or HR, and so much more. Consolidating dozens of business functions all in one place. And the best part, your first app is free for life. Click the link in the video description below to try Odoo for free and start organizing your projects like a pro. Number 5, Doctor Strange's Magical Cloak. One of the first kind of big projects that Ian and I did for shits and giggles was an adult jolly jumper that we built in the garage. We had pulleys in the ceiling attached to sandbags, which equaled the ability to jump and flip as if you were on the moon. Fast forward to our bigger facility, and we started the R&D for a more advanced version. What if instead of ropes with weights, we use powerful winches? Could we turn it into a digital stunt wire system? Somehow, I managed to convince Siemens, yeah, that's how you pronounce it, they're a massive industrial company, to give us super powerful motors that we could use for the winches. Obviously, before going all the way, it's important to make a prototype. So we had Charles make a miniature version of it. And just for fun, we had it fly Doctor Strange's magic cloak. It worked pretty good, minus a few bugs. So it was time to scale it up and use a real cape. Now, there could have been a full make it real here, but at the time it wasn't Doctor Strange in movie theaters, it was Thor Ragnarok. Yeah! So we modified the system, added computer vision, and summoned Mjolnir. It worked shockingly well, and the video is quite popular. Fast forward today, and we moved out of that facility. These motors are still on the shelf, and we don't actually have room to build the system. But that's why I had this building built. I call it Warehouse 51 after Area 51, and it's our quasi-Hollywood-style soundstage, or maybe even more like Professor X's superhero training facility. Anyway, we still need to get power run out here and potentially build a more robust frame system to mount the whole thing off of, but I think we're gonna bring this project back. If you wanna see it happen, comment Jolly Jumper below. Number 6, a collapsible Wakandan spear. Rewind almost 6 years ago and Black Panther had just come out in theaters. A lot of his tech was pretty out of reach, but one weapon caught my eye. It was Okoye's extendable spear that she could hide in a purse. Pretty cool, right? I had seen these magician's canes that expand out of thin air, and while most are made of plastic and are pretty weak, there are some made of metal. Like this one. It's a little terrifying. Whew! But if you twist it to tighten it, it's actually pretty solid. So, could I make the spear using this?
The answer is yes.
It does actually work as a spear, but it's not quite as strong as I'd like it to be, which is why we never ended up making a video on it. But part of that reason was the tip was just way too heavy, which makes the whole thing weak by comparison. But now that we've discovered real-life adamantium, known as nanovate, maybe we could redo this project by 3D printing the spearhead, coating it in nanovate so it's nice and light, and then we'd actually have something pretty functional. What do you guys think? Comment Wakanda forever if you want to see this happen.
Wakanda forever!
Number 7, from Dune, the worm hooks. Damn, he is animating.
So I didn't realize you guys were filming like literally right here.
Grappling hooks are awesome. Batman's grappling hook gun was one of our first big make-it reels, and it even had a winch that allowed you to ascend up a building. When Dune Part 2 came out, I knew we had to try building the Dune worm hooks. And for fun, we challenged ourselves to do it as a one-day build, to release alongside our still suit video. They actually worked quite well, and technically exceeded the movie version.
Front door.
How many interruptions we... Not only did they spring out, but they launched via literal gunpowder, unlike the movie where he just kind of chucks them. It was also the first time that Ian and I worked on a project together in years now. Unfortunately, we still didn't feel like it was good enough to post, so we actually released the video for our YouTube members, which you can watch right now if you become a member of this channel, which helps support us doing these crazy projects, and gets you exclusive benefits, like discounts at Hacksmith.store and seeing unreleased content, like this video, as well as extended cuts. Number 8, Gambit's card launcher. With Gambit showing up in Deadpool and Wolverine, we probably should have finished this project. We even had some pretty epic casino-grade Hacksmith playing cards made up for it. But shooting cards seems like a solid idea, but in practice, they're not the greatest projectile. This was one of our intern students' projects, Krish.
He convinced us to let him take on the challenge, and in the end, he got it working pretty damn good for launching cards. But the magical part of Gambit from the comics was pretty well impossible to recreate.
It's still probably one of the best card launchers out there, but the cards weren't exactly going through walls or blowing things up. It was still a pretty cool learning opportunity and a fun project for the team to play with. Despite our best efforts, there was just only so much tech we could add to recreate this magical card throwing ability, leaving much to be desired. Undertaking this project was truly a gambit. But hey, we do have these awesome playing cards available at Hacksmith.store right now. They feature some of our best projects as the face cards and have an epic Herc design on the back. Plus, they have silver edges, which is just awesome. Number 9, paragliding over the pyramids of Egypt. And this one's not really a project, but more of a personal experience that I was hoping to do. If you guys didn't know, Grant Thompson, the king of random, was one of my only YouTube mentors, and I still miss him to this day. In fact, I dedicated our boardroom to him and his memory. I was a fan of his channel from the start. I saw his rise to fame on YouTube, and he was one of my biggest inspirations on YouTube. I remember I even emailed him early on, like most novice YouTubers, shamelessly asking for a collaboration or shout out. But instead of ignoring me, he actually took the time to reply to me, giving me some general advice about focusing on making the best videos you can, and some sage advice that when the time comes to do a collab, you won't have to ask. I continued doing my thing, and nearly 5 years later, broke 1 million subscribers, and was starting to become a big channel myself. As if fulfilling his own prophecy, out of the blue I got a phone call. The caller ID said Grant Thompson. I couldn't believe it. Greek Gadget Guru had given him my number, and he was calling to congratulate me and ask if he could come visit the garage and see the projects in person. He said I was doing the types of projects that he wished he could do when he started his channel. It was such a huge compliment, I couldn't believe it. He visited for a few days and actually ended up in quite a few of our videos, and that was the start of a beautiful friendship. It's easy to see YouTube as a dream job, but it's not always sunshine and roses.
My frustration with YouTube is the projects I'm really passionate about and feel like really good about
Are the ones that
don't get watched, they don't get promoted, they don't get any revenue. And then I'll do something where I'm like, this is really stupid. I almost feel bad about posting it, and then it'll just go viral.
Yep, I have the exact same issue, and that's why we're trying to do one-day projects as well, because it's just like, why do we spend hundreds of hours engineering something to have it fall flat on its face? Because that's the problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much time you put into a project, it's how you present it and how cool it is.
Yeah.
At this point, Nate and Callie had taken over the channel, and Grant was living life to the fullest, meeting people that inspired him, going on vacations, and spending time with his wife and kids. Ian and I went to visit him in Utah later that year, and when he left, he was off to Florida to learn how to paramotor, after falling in love with paragliding. He had even invited me to come learn with him, but I was too busy. That summer, as you guys know, he died in a paragliding accident. And it still makes me tear up to this day. I had been working on my private pilot's license when it happened, and I stopped. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to flight, gravity always wins. I let fear choose for me after what happened to Grant. Years later, I came across the opportunity to learn how to paraglide in Hawaii, off the side of the volcano Haleakala. Grant loved Hawaii, and some of the last texts he ever sent me was when he was on vacation there. I'm not sure, but I think he paraglided off the same volcano. I decided to not let fear win and took a leap of faith to learn paragliding too. And he was right. It's an incredible feeling like no other. Piloting a plane is like driving a car, but flying a paraglider, well, it's like swinging on a flying swing set. I loved it, but with the amount of work I have to do around here, I haven't gotten many opportunities to fly. It also doesn't help that there's no good flying spots around here since Ontario is pretty flat. The purpose of all this, well, besides facing my fear of flying, I wanted to honor Grant and his memory, and I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to paramotor over the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, something I'm sure he would have done in a heartbeat. Unfortunately, that never happened, despite all the prep, all the equipment, and all the time I spent learning. The trip had been planned for October 2023, and in case you're not up to date with the news, that was right about the time when all the conflict in Israel started. I still hope to fly over the pyramids one day, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon. Number 10, an Iron Man Mark I suit. Saving the best for last, did you know we started working on a Mark I Iron Man suit? We even had the idea to build out a cave workshop to make it for the video. In fact, we weaved a bit of that storyline into some of our videos while it was happening. This is Santiago. He's from Peru, and he watched my original exoskeleton videos and got inspired into engineering, and came to Canada, and went to the same school I went to. Anyway, he joined us as an intern last summer and started working on this prototype Mark I suit. The plan was to do it out of plastic first, and then metal. And this, right here, well, that's it. Unfortunately, we ran out of time and budget to start the metal version of this. But you can follow Santiago on Instagram at @TheSamuraiOfficial and see what else he's working on. I still think this idea has some promise, so comment Mark I if you think we should bring Santiago back to finish building this bad boy. Big thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it, and so does the YouTube algorithm when it sees that sweet, sweet 100% watch time, which helps videos get more views. So thank you. We really are trying to make quality content. Content you can't see anywhere else. Content that lives up to its fictional hype. Content we're passionate about making and passionate about sharing with you. Besides that, we're making some amazing new products I think you're gonna love, like our upcoming 20-in-1 titanium multi-tool everyday carry. You can sign up for release notifications at Hacksmith.store or go grab any of our other awesome products, like the mini saber, to help support the channel. You can also support us directly by becoming a YouTube member, and you get all kinds of awesome perks, including discounts at Hacksmith.store, or by joining us on Nebula, where we also try and post videos early, as well as extended cuts. Plus, right now, if you sign up, you can see that Dune worm hooks video right away. And to show you we mean business about making quality content and amazing projects, we're starting to build real-life power armor. Make sure you're subscribed.